Okay, good Friday afternoon. This is John Gordon, Andrea Schuttmer. This is the 3:15 briefing. They've been updated on the webpage, partner emails, and they're also up here. We will continue to update this. The forecast is it's going to rain. We're going to have some flooding. I think the problem of this whole forecast is the axis of the heavy rainfall, which has deviated some since we talked 24 hours ago, and we'll get right into it. So the flood watch continues. That's a no-brainer. We have extended the upper tier of our counties, our southern Indiana counties, Du Bois, Orange, Washington, Scott, and Jefferson, and then everyone else, right? So it's in effect from early tomorrow morning through lunchtime on Sunday. 2 to 5-ish. Combined with it's wet out. If you don't know that, you're probably been living in a cave. But yeah, we are really, really wet. And so significant flooding is possible, including that covers everything. Widespread aerial, river, and some isolated to scattered flash flooding. Okay. All right. Let's go into this. All right. So when you go from the northwest to the southeast, you definitely see a gradient in the middle there. That red area, which was 3-4 days ago, is down there by Bowling Green, Russell Springs, and Lancaster, and Richmond, and Winchester. This last run, the last data set that came in, has pushed this thing off to the northwest. All right, you see that 4 to 6 range. So what Andrea is about to tell you is predicated on where that axis and which basins it's going to fall in. We know there's going to be widespread rain, 100% chance of widespread rain moving in. Okay, we're going to have some waves. We'll have the morning and afternoon wave into the early evening, and then there's going to be a bit of a break sometime in the late evening where the warm front will lift to the north, and we wait for the cold front to pick up everything else and bring that in, which brings a threat of more rain, moderate to heavy rain, and also some chances of storms. We'll get to that in a minute. You see the ranges? Someone's going to be in that red area, right? There's going to be a 40-mile, 50-mile wide area of the 4 to 6 inch range. It'll be a narrow swath. My sense is, people always like my gut. My gut is that's too far northwest. Okay? I think if I was to pick everything, I'd slide everything about 30 miles more back to the southeast. That's my gut. We'll see with the new data set on the one model we like to look at has already started that trend just a tad already. All right. So significant flash flooding, including aerial rivers scattered, is on the table. All right. So let's get into the rivers. And here is our service hydrologist.
Hi there, everybody. It's Andrea. So just looking at the river forecast, the river forecast that were sent out today did reflect that shift northwest with rainfall. So you can see, just looking at the map of Kentucky, there are less areas kind of lighten up in red and purple in eastern Kentucky. Still a few, but not as many as there were yesterday at this time. And then we have picked up a few more red locations in central Kentucky. So, you know, with that rainfall, that 4 to 6 inches of rain that's expected to fall, we're still, like John said, trying to narrow down the heaviest axis. But here is our latest, most confident, if it is confident, river forecast that we have. So widespread minor to moderate river flooding, I think, is a given. And then those moderates are really going to depend on where that heavy rain axis sets up. Right now, it could be parts of the Green River, there, like through Bowling Green, and then into Woodbury, Rochester area, that whole basin there, and then up through Boston, and then up into the Kentucky River, kind of around Lexington up by Peaks Mill and Lockport. So just those are the areas that we're looking at with the 4 to 6 inches of heaviest rainfall. There is some isolated major river flooding still possible. And that, again, that's going to depend on where that heaviest rainfall axis sets up. So we'll wait and get more information on that. But most at risk for moderate plus river flooding, generally speaking, are the Kentucky River, the Rolling Fork, the Green River, and the Rough River. And then again, here's general river flood timing graphic. And again, this is very general, looking at each river. On the left-hand side there, the Green, Kentucky, Licking, Rolling Fork, Rough River. And then looking at days, Saturday through Friday for the next week here. And just in general speaking, if we had any point on the Green River in moderate flood, we colored this graph red. So, parts of the Green River could be in moderate flood for quite some time, depending on where that axis sets up. And then looking at the Kentucky River, the next line down, again, depending on where the axis sets up, depending on which part of the Kentucky sees this, but moderate flooding would be possible, at least through central Kentucky, and maybe some major flooding, depending on where the rainfall axis is. The Licking River, we have at least a minor flood there. Some of those numbers did come in a little bit higher, like high minor flood on this latest round up near Cynthiana. So we could be approaching moderate reds on the Licking if the current forecast holds. The Rolling Fork, that's another one, as well as the Rough, where we've got high-end minor to low-end moderate predicted there. So just watch these and check out our website, thewater.noaa.gov/WFO/LMK to see the individual hydrographs and get a better idea of that river flooding.
Okay. Here's the another challenging part of this whole event is the low confidence severe weather events. So as I mentioned earlier, there's going to be a break, and mainly across the south. Everyone south of the Parkway should see a break late Saturday evening, probably 8 to midnight or something like that. And you'll see more convection, more thunderstorms and showers develop out to the west, especially the southwest. And you see that orange down there. Mississippi is in a very bad spot. It's got a bunch of wind shear and instability. We are on the edge of where the instability goes. You can see they have continued to creep this thing ever so slowly to the north out of Tennessee with the Storm Prediction Center. And we still feel that the greatest threat for us would be wind, and basically the very bottom tier or so, basically south of the Cumberland Parkway. So counties like Warren, Barron, Metcalfe, Adair, Russell, and then South Clinton, Cumberland, Monroe, Allen, Simpson, Logan. That's for overnight Saturday night. So we're ramping up extra staffing on the day, the evening, and the midnight shift because of this threat. It'll probably be a line of storms somewhere between 2 and 6 a.m., something like that, that will slide from the west to the east with the greater coverage and thunderstorms and intense storms to the southwest. And you can see that outlined pretty well by SPC. Now, Andrea and I are agreeing on the way we're going to handle the floods, the aerial floods. Most of our stuff will be for non-rivers, will be aerial flood warnings. And we'll put them out between 6 and 12 hours. If there's really intense rain, really strong rainfall rates, we'll put out some flash flood warnings. But that's the game plan. We're going to try to stick with aerials if we can. When that line comes through, you may see some flash flood warnings because the rates will pick up late Saturday night. And the timing, you see the confidence on this. It's all conditionally based on if we can get some any surface heating to work with these storms that have enough wind shear. Okay, enough said. Now is the time to prepare. I know you saw the sun earlier. Don't let that fool you. It's coming. This is a classic setup with moisture and lift, and a lot of moisture and lift. All right. So it's not, will this happen? We're going to have problems. It's wet. There will be some flooding issues for sure. There will be. It's not these weather people are blowing this out of proportion. No. So what can you do? Have a plan, Stan. Make sure your cell phone, portable radios, make sure if you have to move to higher ground, where the heck are you going to go? And the one I've been preaching about for 20 years is about don't do anything silly or foolish. Go around barricades. The barricades are there for a reason. It doesn't take much water. 6 inches of fast moving water can just rock you away. And in this case, you're going to have a lot of standing water at night. That's not good. And I guess I should mention that next week we turn pretty cold. We may have, we probably will have accumulating snow Wednesday. Okay. And we start getting cold early in the week. So I think you're going to have some black ice problems across the area with standing water that's going to freeze at night from here and there. So that's another problem. So let's go through this again. We got a big rain event with flooding. We may have to go with a wind advisory Sunday. Forgot about that. I've mentioned about everything but pestilence and locusts. Then we turn cold. We got this winter system on Tuesday night into Wednesday. And I think each night with all this water that's around there, you're going to have some black ice issues in various spots. So there's the rainfall again. Once again, I believe this may get shifted a bit to the south and east. We'll see, but I would not surprise me, Bat fans. All right, if you put a question in the chat, Andrea and I will start answering them one at a time. So we'll get started. Drew Chandler, does modeling and forecast for the Kentucky River factor any planned releases from Harrington Lake? The operator has not communicated anything to the downstream communities. Andrea.
So at Harrington Lake, yes, we do communicate with them and their releases. As soon as they change releases or change gates, they call us, and that goes right into our river forecast. So yes, the forecast at High Bridge is reflective of their latest report to us. So I just talked to them actually just within the last 45 minutes, and they are 24/7 staffed through the weekend and ready to give updates as the rain falls.
Okay. All right, Drew, thank you as always. Chuck O'Neill, I know this question's for the Jackson station, but when you say Kentucky River, you're talking about Jackson, Whitesburg, Hazard, Southeast. Do you want to talk a little bit about the Kentucky in general?
Okay, yeah, so the Kentucky River, yes, it starts in eastern Kentucky. So that's the area you're talking about, Chuck. And then as we go into the east central part of the state, which is kind of in the Louisville forecast area, it's the Kentucky River from Ford Lock up through High Bridge, up through Frankfort and Lockport. So that graph that you saw there was mainly focused on that central portion, that Camp Nelson, High Bridge, Frankfort portion there into moderate. Now, out further east, I know there is a major point still forecast on the Kentucky River there. So that would be something to take into consideration there. But yeah, the Kentucky River Basin, those forecasts could change depending on this rainfall axis. So, and they did go down in the east, the eastern Kentucky area, that portion of the river up closer to the headwaters, and the rainfall forecast went down, and so did the river forecast.
Okay. Thank you, Chuck. Paul Kern, Ohio River forecast for the Louisville area, please.
Okay, for the Ohio.
She's pulling it up here. We got multiple screens going.
So on the Ohio, so that's one area. If we do see that axis of heavy rainfall sit on the Ohio River, those forecasts would be minor to maybe even moderate on some locations, especially mid-Ohio, Louisville region there. But right now, as it stands for the Louisville area, we have McAlpin Upper getting into minor flood 23.3, looks like on Tuesday evening would be the forecast there.
Okay. Yeah, that's all predicated on these axes. So we're going to try to refine this on the midnight shift tonight and put out and have maybe one that we can stick with and live with. I know this is challenging for all of us. What is the risk? This is Killian. What is the risk for flooding on the Ohio River this weekend?
Well, I mean, that you have to remember that response time, as long as the heavy rain axis is not on the Ohio River, but the response time for the Ohio River is slower than everything else. So as long as that rainfall axis is where we have it forecast now, just maybe to the south and maybe shift a little bit south, we'll see that a little bit of a delayed response with the flooding starting, maybe Tuesday, Wednesday time frame. I'm talking near the Louisville area. They've already got some minor flooding going into the western Kentucky area of the Ohio River, but Louisville area, we would start to see some minor flooding midweek and probably continuing through late week as it will be slow to fall.
Okay. All right. Gary Fritz. Hello, Gary from Du Bois County. Approximately when will the next slides be posted reflecting the next forecast model updates? Yeah, so the main forecast will be out by 4 a.m. This evening, we'll be able to look at some of the new data, the new 0Z stuff. That's at 7 o'clock Eastern stuff. That usually comes in at 9, 10 o'clock tonight. They'll take a look at that, start to get a handle, and we'll be updating these slides. So when you wake up in the morning, you'll see it. I mean, it's possible late evening, but we'll just have to wait and see. All right. Brian Smith, any chance at all that the temperature shifty could turn into snow? Oh, for tomorrow? No, it's not going to snow tomorrow. This is liquid all the way. That is from Brian Smith. Yeah. It could end as a little snow Sunday. Not a big deal. That's more of a dusting as that thing pivots out of here early Sunday morning. But I don't think that's a player. Plus, we're so darn wet, it would take a lot to get white initially. So, all right. Matt Bullock. Hi, Matt. Is there an estimated forecast for the hourly rainfall rates expected in the Louisville region? Well, I think there's a couple different waves. You've got some stuff in the early afternoon tomorrow as the warm front lives north. I think your rates will probably be up to a ½ inch to 2/3 of an inch an hour. The stuff that comes through overnight, Saturday night, I think you could be, I believe there will be some places to get 1 inch per hour rainfall rates. The problem, it won't last an hour. It'll be about an hour. So we get an inch in an hour. And then that stuff will start pushing off to the east. So I hope that answers that, Matt. All right. And any specific concerns associated with the Salt River? Lawrenceburg Fire and Rescue is stating a potential 25-foot rise in the river levels. Uh-oh. I'll let you respond to that.
Okay, let's have a look at the Salt River.
Stand by, Ann.
So the Salt River at Shepherdsville, the good thing about the Salt River at Shepherdsville is it's starting pretty low. It's down at 7.6 feet right now. But yeah, there is a significant rise anticipated with all this rain. And that rise would take it to 27.4 feet on Sunday afternoon. But that is still above the minor flood stage of 32 feet. So yeah, there is going to be a rise, but it's
still below
to minor flood at this point.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, there's another one. John Bettner. Hi, John. I saw Paducah went with a PDS flood watch up to Louisville. Not that matters. Possibility for an upgraded. We're not going to upgrade it right now until we see some more data. I think the midnight shift tonight can take a look at that and see if they want to do that. We have given Andrea has worked her tail off to try to get this right. And we have been going back and forth. And quite honestly, the Ohio River Forecast Center and the Weather Prediction Center, we call the QPF, the amount of rain. WPC has it a little further northwest. The Ohio River Center has it a little further southeast. Everyone's got their opinion on this thing. So we're not going to move it right now. It's possible. Don't know yet. All right, next one. Kelly Jones. Any chance the river gets high and floods in Frankfurt? What do you got in Frankfurt?
In Frankfurt, we've got a forecast crest of 31 feet, which is right at minor flood stage. That's one right there. If that heavy rainfall axis shifts a little bit more, then that could be a higher number. But right now we've got right into minor flood category at 31 feet.
Yep, Kelly, I knew what you meant. All right. Thanks as always. Thank you. All right, we got a lot of thank yous. Well, good. I'm glad. We're trying. We work hard here. All right, that's what we got. These slides will be updated throughout the weekend. Tomorrow, you're going to see this escalate from watches to warnings, all kinds of warnings. We're not screwed around with flood advisories. That is not going to happen. You're either going to see an aerial flood warning, flash flood warning, or any of Andrea's river flood warnings. That's your choices. So everyone, good luck. try to, one thing you can do is give us reports, send in your reports. If you know about some flash flooding, impassable major roads, any of that stuff, let your weather service know. We'd be glad to use that and put out better products for all of you. All right, let's hope for the best. And San Diego weather. Everyone have a good night.